Hi, everybody. This is Gail Minogue, your numerologist. And I thought with the news headlines with our de facto nominee, and we have an almost assassinated candidate, we need to talk about who the heck are these people. And today, I want to speak about Kamala Harris. She has all of a sudden taken over the scene as probably the nominee for the Democratic Party for this election. And then I also took, because we can't just take a look at one person here, I took a look at her partner, Doug, what is his name? Emhoff, E-M-H-O-F-F, because they're kind of a duel, and see what effect is he going to have on her. But I first want to do her blueprint for you. What is the blueprint? That's the program she came in with for this particular life. You know, we all have one, each of us has one. I've been shouting this story forever, and I wanted to go over this because a lot of people said, well, what do you know about her and all these kind of things. So I said, okay, I'm going to talk about Kamala Divi, D-E-V-I, it's her middle name. So the first name is K-A-M-A-L-A, the second name D-E-V-I, and the last name Harris. And she has a very interesting background, besides her laugh and all the other stuff that goes with her. But I thought maybe this is like, what, we float to the top with everything. But I wanted to see, is there any more that we should know about her? And I think there is. Number one, I've said forever, and you see it on my prior YouTubes, that the country of the United States has a 5 life path from its date of birth, July 4, 1776. It's a 5. And when we are ready for change, real change, I'm not just talking about superficial, bringing the Democrats, throw out the Republicans, or vice versa. We are going to go our backs to the wall, like in the Civil War period or World War II period. And here we have a 5 country with a 5 president. Abraham Lincoln, before the Civil War, brought that to a close. And then Franklin Delano Roosevelt, another 5 for World War II. Well, I don't know if she's the one at all, but she has a 5 life path. And we haven't had a 5 candidate who really took over as the candidate for a presidential nomination for a very, very long time. Bernie Sanders is a 5, but he didn't get him close. So here we have sort of like in a fluke. Biden drops out, which really wasn't a fluke. I'm not sure why he didn't go sooner. However, she comes in and floats to the top, is the front person, and it looks like she will be the nominee for the presidency, and that will be a 5 life path, which fits very, very well for the country. I'm not a fan of either of these candidates. I wasn't a fan of Biden or Trump, so I'm not, I just read what I see and tell you. So don't shoot me if I say something that you don't approve of or you don't agree with. I'm just looking at her information. So she came in, she was born October 20th, 1964. And so she's an air sign, she's a Libra. She has a lot of air in her chart. One of the reasons she laughs a lot and has that funky laugh, shall we say, is having to do with a lot of air and where it falls in her chart. And also she has this prominent 5. 5s are considered the movers of the world. 5s like to move. The United States country likes to move. It likes to be on the go. It likes speed. It doesn't like to wait. It wants it yesterday. And so it's a constantly moving country. Prior to the COVID, we moved around a lot. We moved in the city, we moved from an apartment to a house, to a boat, to whatever, but to her car. But whatever, it's movement, and so is Kamala Harris. This girl has to learn a lot about patience. So she's going to have to not just jump into the river without seeing if there's a boat there. She has to be more strategic. Right now, she kind of is the person who jumps in the swimming pool without, if there's wet water or no water, I jumped in. So it's going to have to be much more strategic if she plans to become the president in her behavior. She is a 5. She does move things along. 5s are considered catalysts of change. And so she would be her nature, which is to make changes. So a lot of the things that you assume are going to happen, like taking over the Biden program and all that, don't necessarily assume at all. Some of it she will, many of it will modify, and some of which I don't think she will go along with. However, that remains to be seen, but she will move things. She will be a catalyst of change, and that will affect our foreign policies, our domestic policies. So that's kind of the energy of Kamala. The other part, too, is she has a 7 destiny. That's from her name. Her full name totals the number 7. What is a 7? It's the mind. It's the study of the mind. It's the intellect. It's the reasoning, all of that. So she has what we'll call a mind that wants to know. So it's interesting that she would go ahead and, she started out with her elementary school in Canada and Montreal and Quebec, and she went to French schools, and she probably speaks fluent French, I would assume. And then she went on to get her JD in California at a pretty tough school. To pass the bar in California is very, very hard. Most people don't pass it at all. She passed on the second try. Our former mayor here tried 4 times and he never passed it. It's a tough bar exam, but she did, and she went on. She knew the right people. Very much in the beginning, she had attraction with some of the big power brokers in this Northern California area, which propelled her into the successes that she got. She basically became a success in a one-party state. I consider California a one-party state, and I live in California, but it's a one-party state. It needs another party here, folks, but we don't have any really good, loyal opposition going on here. So basically, she rose to the top in a one-party state. So she hasn't really run in a program or a competitive nature with a counterpart, and that hasn't happened. And here we are, floating to the top again, being nominated by a retired president. So it continues on in that same genre. It's amazing. However, this is a person who has some interesting spiritual qualities going for you, and I would never guess this. First of all, I was amazed when I began to look at some of her background, that she was educated in French and English primary school and went to French and English high school and graduated. And then went on to Howard University, and then went to the Oakland Bay area and settled there. She has a couple of different houses, one of which is here in LA in the Brentwood area. So that's where her husband, who's also an interesting character, very strong person. So they're both pretty strong individuals. However, Kamala is very light. She is an air sign. She's a Libra. She has a lot of air, and she presents herself with air. That's the laugh. That's the ha, and the clapping hands and all that kind of stuff. And then she has this kind of fiery, emotional stuff. So she has to learn how to really manage that better. But it's there, and she will, I think, with some help and some refinement process, will do very, very well, because the brains are there. She wants to move. She doesn't want to get stuck in stuff. Remember, this is jumping in the swimming pool before there's water in it? So she has to really do her homework. And the other thing, too, is she's born on a 2-day. She's born the 20th of the month of October. The 2 is always about wanting consensus, diplomacy, tact. That helps a lot. It can make you indecisive. That's why you see Biden, he had a life path of the number 2. It was an 11, but it was still a 2. And he just hemmed and hawed, making up his mind. And oh my God, it was molasses sometimes. And then too indecisive. But she doesn't have that. She has a 5 laugh bet. Let's go, boys. And that's kind of the energy. She'll make these kind of decisions. And so I think the personality is a big master number 44. Remember, we have master numbers 11, 22, 33. Anytime we have a double digit, it's considered a master number. These are real power numbers. These are inspirational numbers. So she has the possibility of coming off as very inspirational or aspirational after she's cultivated more of herself. So she has to learn how to handle political situations in a more compromising way, more diplomatic way is probably the right word, be able to present that. You know, when I think somebody asked her, Lester Holt, on an interview, how she had gone to the border, have you been to the border? And she had not been yet. So she said, but I haven't been to Europe either. You know, so that's pretty defensive. And that's when you see what I'm talking about. This emotional nature just jumps in, and a real good politician would never answer it like that. It would not say, well, I haven't been to Europe either. And so it's that refinement process. So someone has to take her to the back room. Like when we had a Margaret Thatcher, she was in Reagan's era. She was the Prime Minister of Great Britain. She was very powerful woman. She dressed like power. She looked like power. She spoke like power. You're going to need to have some of that with Kamala. You're going to need to put her in the refinement machine. What Margaret Thatcher did to get that way, I heard her speak when she was a local politician in Britain. And she sounded like a country farm girl. She had no power in the voice or anything. So Margaret Thatcher went to diction, elocution, and English speaking, worked with tutors. And her projection, her breathing, her presence completely changed into this power. And that's what Kamala needs some of. She needs that refinement. She needs to have that speech person in deliverance. How do you use your body language? How do you present yourself? When is it appropriate? So yeah, you can manage yourself well. So she needs to have that, because the air will just kind of come out. It just goes out and says things. And I mean, it can be very funny and witty. She also has this 44-8 master number personality. I want to be the boss. I am the boss. I want to be the boss. She also is coming in her soul number. That's her vowels. Where's she coming from? She's coming from the big number 8. She used to be the boss in prior lives. She wants to be the boss. There's no nothing about. So she's like preparing herself all this time. And her parents were really interesting people. Her mother is from India, and she was a breast cancer researcher at UC Berkeley, got her PhD, very well-educated woman. And I think she died about 15 years ago. I think she died of cancer. And then her father is still alive. He's from the Caribbean, and he's a PhD, also, I believe, from Berkeley in economics. So he's an economist emeritus at Stanford. So she comes from a very well-educated family. And I think she had one sibling, but no children of her own. And it's interesting because this is a pretty independent person. It's not that she can't have relationships and people in her life, but mainly her career and her causes have taken up her time. So I would say, and this period of her life started at age 50. She's in a really charmed period of her life in her chart, and that's going to continue on. 2 numbers she's missing. She's missing the number 6. What does that mean? That means there's this domestic responsibility. I don't care. I mean, I don't think it interests her at all to have kids, or misses that she didn't. I don't know that for a fact. But when we have a missing 6, a lot of times we either overly long for them, or we don't, it's okay if, I'll have nieces and nephews or what have you. But the thing about the missing 6 is we can say all the right things. It sounds good, but people don't realize that you care, because it sounds superficial. So a lot of Kamala's problem has been sounding superficial. And this is one reason why she didn't get that first presidential run. She dropped out before, it's like too soon almost. She was doing so poorly. And then she's had controversy with not being liked by the general public. But I think if you really read her better, understand her better, this is her missing 6. I think she is trying now. She realizes she's going to step into the power if she can handle it. And a lot will depend on how diplomatic, how political she can be with this campaign going forward, because she's going to have to use these skills. She needs to learn to be steel in a velvet glove and yet have the audience love her. And I don't know how she's going to do that with a missing 6, but she's better cultivate sincere affection for people rather than standing out here and saying, I love you and I think to do. They have to feel it. And unless you feel it, you can't relate. So that's the Achilles heel in her chart, is that relating. It's like Some you could say, well, they spoke directly to me, like Obama spoke directly to me. He was really, I was just really engaged with him. That kind of energy you need so that people will follow you all the way off the cliff. They will. They will follow you because they think you really love and understand them. That's what you need to win. So I'm hoping she will cultivate that. So the 7, she's also missing a 7, but she's made it up by having a 7 destiny. So she wants to get degrees. She did. She wants to think well. She wants to understand. So she's got a lot going for her, particularly the ambition that I don't think she's going to let much stand in her way. The other thing that I found very interesting in her chart, what we call her energy package, is attached to the astrological sign of Leo, even though she's a Libra. Leos like the limelight. They like the entertainment business. And who did she marry? An entertainment attorney. They like the limelight. So she's going to shine in the camera. And it's really yay. And so she's in that time frame where she can shine and be the star. So she can rise to that occasion. It depends how well she handles it. She has got to develop patience, show true affection and care. Can she lead? Yes. Can she make change? Yes. Will it be good change? I hope so. But she will make them. She will not sit around and just wait for stuff to happen. She will make it happen or eliminate or add or what have you. She's in a very lucky period in her chart. So I hope it does well. She's got a nice balance here. She's not like all emotional or not all air at all or all fire or water or all that stuff. She's got a pretty good balance on it. And I'm looking to see if there's anything weird. I think it's real important telling that she has that big 44 personality. So she can develop, and I think she has, but I think if you get to know her, she has a very spiritual side to her. She was around a lot with her mother, with the Hindu understanding. She's very devoted to both the Indian culture, the Black American culture, very much into these. She contacts and does the Indian family. She's very close to her Indian grandfather. So it's real interesting stuff. Very close family ties, very, very good functioning family she came from. No dysfunction. And very much cause, I don't think that she's going to try a lot of the progressive stuff that came out of California. Because you always think of California as very, very progressive and crazy, nutty. However, this is where a lot of creative stuff is done for the rest of the country. And I don't believe that she will go on and as if she's living and running in California at all. The other thing, too, is she's going to be a real danger zone for the opposition in the area of abortion rights, women's body rights, all those things. This is a take no prisoner woman. She will not back down on any of that. And I think she'll be terrific in debating. So I'm hoping there's really a good debate for her. I think she'll do very well. She was the head of a debate team at one time. It was either in college or high school. She was the head of a debate team. And she did a lot of that stuff. So, and there was a lot of causes in college and her mother was heavily involved. And her grandfather from India was heavily involved in women's rights. So she said that's where she got it from, her Indian grandfather. And so, and she was close to him. So it's a very interesting French-speaking, educated, weird laugh, I have to say. She has to learn to manage herself. I would really highly recommend working with privately, quietly, with a speech presence, someone who can have you project correctly and manage the stage. But I think good, and I think she'll bring a lot of change. I don't think right away, because we got too many problems here. But she has to learn how to think before she jumps in that pool. So she's going to have to really change her ways and can't be cavalier now. If she's going to be president, she's been a lot of cavalier. Let's do it. Okay, let's go. No, I don't think so. Now, I wanted to talk about Doug because is this a possibility that she'll become the president? I'm not projecting, but I would say she has a very good chance of it. Depends on who she picks for vice president. Depends. I don't know at this point. I have my idea of who it should be that would help this, but I can't say until that actually happens. But her husband, Douglas Craig, Emhoff, Emhoff. And since this is a person who's going to travel with you, who's going to sleep with you, going to talk in your ear, you're going to use them to consult with, you need to know about who is this person? Like Jill Biden, who is this person? She was a school teacher, that's all you ever heard. Well, he's an entertainment attorney, and he's from Los Angeles area, and he graduated from USC, so he's a Trojan. That's what they call USC graduates. And he also has the first vowel of his first name is an O. The first vowels of your first name tell the story of you. And the first vowel of his first name is an O, which means I'm the boss. I'm the boss. I want to be in charge. And that's it. And so if you look at all the presidents we've had, like Donald and Ronald and John and Joseph and Robert, all they have vowels of the first O, okay? So John Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, Ronald Reagan, Douglas MacArthur, it just goes on and on. Okay, so we have a lot of O's in the power positions, and he is just two. He's got a 7 life path, which is the smart one. He's the brain. He's a lot of alone time, this man. So I hope he gets it. I don't know how he's going to, but I'm sure he will arrange that for himself. They're literally born 7 days apart. He has a 7 life path, she has a 5 life path. But they're kind of peas in the pods of the rest of their energies. They really blend well. They're both Libras, and they both have Saturns in Aquarius. So they're really smart. Both of them are really, really smart people. And he's got a 7 life path. He's got the 8 destiny, the 4 personality, this 4 soul number. He's a workaholic. He's a work guy, so he loves work. And he also has no 2. So this guy, he has to learn how to be diplomatic, a partner, cooperative, patient, not to be a doormat. See, missing 2s go 2 ways. They're either doormats or they just don't understand something called tact and diplomacy. My feeling is he's probably tried one and now he's doing the other. But that's the way he is. So he has a interesting path. His energy or his emotions are very much, shall I say, his energy, his emotional level, he gets his feelings hurt a lot. He's got, he's kind of like, what did you mean by that kind of stuff? Well, you didn't mean anything. You were just saying it in general. They kind of take it like, he's got a thin skin. And so they must blend well, these two, because they have a lot of mutual stuff in their chart, being born 7 days apart. And he has the 7 life path. She has the 7 destiny. The interesting thing about when you find a partner who has a life path that's the same number as your destiny, she's 7, which is her name. He's a 7 life path from his date of birth. 1 is the teacher. And the one who's the destiny is the teaching the other one. So the 7 destiny of her is teaching him as his life path, because this is learning lesson. That's why he loves to be around smart. They both like to be around smart people, both of them with that 7. They'll tolerate stupid people, but they'd rather be around smart people. And so, but they both have that something in their quality that is very nice. They each have, they're kind of better friends to their friends than their friends are to them. They each have that same quality. It's kind of painful. So it's like, I want to take you to lunch at your birthday, so I ask you, where would you like to go? And you say to me, oh, you don't have to take me, it's okay. So a lot of times, even though you're a better friend to them, you make it hard for their friends to give to you. This is something also they each have in common. It's an interesting couple. I think they'll do extremely well. They'll do extremely well together. They're mutually attracted in a strange partnership kind of way. I think they will blend. I think he'll balance her. She'll balance him. And when I saw both these charts, I'd say, wow, there's no skeletons in the closet. There's no hidden children. There's no hidden marriages. There's no fooling around or messing around. They're both kind of, particularly him, he's really kind of a straight guy, very straight. He's classical music kind of guy. That's the kind of music he does like. He likes classical music. So my feeling is here's another 4. He's born on a 13 day. So he's just a workaholic. He's 4 personality, 4 soul, number 4. What is 4? Remember the 40s? We all worked ourselves to death. It was World War II. It was just practical. So he's that way. So, I mean, he could still eat an orange crate and have a bowl of soup, you know, if he had to. That's the kind of guy he is. He's practical. He's always going to be that way. So he's a good ear for her. She could ask him things, what does he think? And he's going to be very, very smart and wise and giving her good advice. No airy-fairy, very grounded stuff. It's very, very good. So they make a good pair. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I can tell you. I'm not making recommends. I think they do well. I think they'll do well together. And I think they'll give it a good run for the money in this next 100 days or whatever it is. So I hope I didn't put you to sleep. You get a little more. If you need more, always get in touch with me. You know my website. And I'll look forward to talking with you again. Thanks for listening. As you can see, I've never met Kamala Harris, and I've never met Doug, and I don't expect to. However, there's information here that I can explain to them about this and that, and ask questions. And this is what I can do for you too. So if you would like to get a session and do something like this with me or find out more, please get in touch with me at my website. Love to hear from you. I love your comments anyway. So please do, and I will get back with you.